Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we're going to take a look at the entire Marvel Legends X-Men Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave from Hasbro. That's right, my friends, the new X-Men wave has just begun hitting stores. There's some really great figures in here, and I'm anxious to dive in and take a look at them, and we're going to look at them all one by one in today's video. So you guys all know what these guys look like packaged. We're just going to go ahead and dive right in and start looking at all of these figures outside of the boxes. So let's kick things off with Multiple Man here. Really cool looking figure. I love this. So first of all, this version of Multiple Man is rocking that sweet, sweet trench coat. Very cool. Nice deep brown in color. You can see it is made of a more flexible material there, but the sleeves are sculpted. So obviously if you remove this, you would still have the weird sculpted sleeves for the trench coat. And then he's got his sweet blue and yellow X uniform on underneath that. That trench coat, yeah, it's very Gambit looking, right? I have a feeling this will be reused at some point. But here, let's run down articulation for Multiple Man. He's got a nice ball joint at the head with the hinge on the neck. You got the ball joints at the shoulders, so you can go up, down, forwards, backwards, swivel at the bicep. You got nice single joints at the elbow, which means you can also swivel at the elbow. So you got the bicep swivel and the elbow swivel, which is probably a little too much articulation there. You got the swivel at the wrist as well as the hinge at the wrist. You got the ab crunch at the torso. Swivel at the waist. He's very loose at the waist on my figure. You can kind of see the way he's like really, woo, swinging around there. So that's a bit loose. We do have the hinges at the thighs, outwards, forwards, backwards, swivel at the thigh cut. You got the double joints at the knee, swivel at the boot cut there. And then you got the hinges at the ankles as well as the pivot side to side. So you can rock those ankles. One of the things that I find really, really great about Magic's here is that he comes with 3 different head sculpts. So that's pretty sweet. And it's kind of genius for a character like Multiple Man. So here, look, we can easily pop that right off the ball joint. If we want to, we can pop on this alternate head where he's got a bit of a smirk on his face instead. So the other one was very serious. This one is smirking. Or if you'd rather pose him with his little head cap pulled down so we can see his hair, you've got that option there as well. And like I said, this is genius for a figure like Multiple Man, because if you're planning on buying multiple men, you can swap the heads if you wanted to, and you can pose them, using his powers. So that is pretty cool stuff. All right, Magneto here, totally rocking his black and red outfit. It's a very, very nice looking figure, and what I really love here is the head sculpt, because first of all, we also have interchangeable heads, but the helmeted head, I imagine a lot of people are really going to want to pose them with the helmeted head, and I think that Hasbro did a great job, and they've been doing a good job of this lately, but it's nice because that helmet, even though it's not removable, it's nice that they have a fully sculpted face underneath, and then the helmet is like over it, so you can see it's a little flimsy, so it kind of comes outwards a little bit, but it's nice because it really adds a lot of depth and detail there. It looks fantastic. He does come with some interchangeable hands, so we can swap out his hands to just like these solid black fists, but then he's also got these crazy glowing purple hands for using his powers. So, if I want to swap those out, it's just on a peg. We can easily pop these in its place. They might bend a little bit. There you go. That articulation, that little hinge joint there. But yeah, so we can swap that out. Now we've just got these cool, translucent, kind of glowy hands there, which are pretty neat looking. The cape is over the head, so you can see it's just kind of sitting up on the shoulders, as are the shoulder pads and everything, and of course it's that softer, more pliable material. So the articulation is exactly what you would expect on this guy. It's pretty nice. Swivel at the bicep, double joints at the elbow, swivel at the wrist with those hinge joints that I just showed you. You got the ab crunch at the torso, very tight on this guy with those ratchets. Swivel at the waist, you got the hinges at the thighs, the thigh cuts, the double joints at the knees, very tight on there. Swivels at the boots, and you got those same ankles as well. So you should be able to get some pretty sweet poses out of him. Let me show you that interchangeable head, because this is actually pretty sweet. If you want to pose him without the helmet, I love that. Look at that hair. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Now I really want to see, classic purple and red Magneto Jim Lee style, even with this head, because this head works great for that too. I love it. And then he does have these crazy purple lightning power things. They're very soft and very pliable, but these can kind of fit over his hands, so magnetism. Whoa! So you could do that with him as well. Gladiator, the big old Captain Planet looking guy. So here we go. He's tall. Specifically with his mohawk there, he's a full 7 inches tall. He's also like on the bigger body there, so he's just, more muscular. Has a lot more weight to him as well. So he's a big old dude. Love the bright colors. Got a little bit of sloppy paint where the red meets the blue. You can see it's not straight. It's a little sloppy, but it's really not so bad otherwise. I got the same thing going down on here with the legs. Oh boy, that's real bad right there. I wish that was a little cleaner. But still, I love that head sculpt. I love that rockin' mohawk. That is a sweet look for the character. He's got this big old Doctor Strange style cape. I don't think I even noticed before that it's even the same colors. That's awesome. So that is that softer material there draped around the neck. This guy's giving me serious X-Men animated series flashbacks, and I love that. His posability is nice. We got some paint kind of scratching here on the neck, so that's something to watch out for, because they definitely just painted the neck purple to match the face, and you can see it's blue on the lower portion, and it's kind of scratching off a little bit. The articulation all feels nice and tight, though. It works really well. Same swivels at the bicep, double joints at the elbow, hinges at the wrist. You got the ab crunch, the swivel at the waist. So everything functions the same as you do for the other figures. And it is cool seeing this character. The 90s are alive. Speaking of the 90s, boom, Psylocke. And she is awesome. So let me get her standing here, and you can see we've got a lot of that cool kind of Psybeam stuff going on. I love this. She's got the little psychic dagger, and it clips around the wrist, but also fits right over the fist, so it's actually on the back of her hand the way it's supposed to be. This is so great, because I just remember even when I was a kid, I always wanted these types of effects for a lot of my X-Men or a lot of my superhero toys, so I can recreate the powers that I was seeing in the comics and on the cartoon. This is perfect. This does just that. And then she's also got the little psychic kind of beam sword there as well that she can hold in her right hand. I think it's fantastic. Her little sash there is a separate piece, so it properly hangs over her hips the way you would expect it to. Articulation is a little different on her, but it still functions very well. Look at that deep purple hair. I love that. So she has a hinge joint at the neck. It's real tight. It's kind of actually hard to pose her head around there. We can swivel it. Got a little bit of a hindrance because of the hair in the back. Ball joints at the shoulders. You got the swivel at the elbow and bend at the elbow. It's very standard for what we see on a lot of the female figures. She's got the ball joint at the torso, so it kind of rocks all the way around there, but there's nothing in the waist because it doesn't break up the sculpt there. So the thighs, you can see that's the ball joints there. It's a little weird looking way it's broken up, and I think part of that is because obviously she doesn't have a bulky uniform. She wears that tight uniform, and it rides up real high on her hips. So that does look a little strange the way it's all broken up by the articulation, but it's probably the best they could really do. Swivels there at the thighs, double joints at the knees, and then you got the nice hinges and rocking at the ankles. And of course, one more effect. We got this great little psychic effect that clips right there over her forehead as well. I love this Storm. It's always been such a fun look for the character. Now, personally, I grew up with the silver-clad Storm, also the black costume Storm that was very similar, but she wore that silvery white outfit in the cartoon, and that was my Storm. But I always appreciated the more 80s style Mohawk Storm. She is very cool. I love kind of like the leather outfit she's wearing. She's got the dual belt thing happening here, that little jacket with the sleeves, the lightning bolt earrings. This is just a cool looking toy, no doubt about it. I mean, this costume just makes for a strikingly cool looking action figure, and she's got a really great sculpt to boot. So articulation, it's pretty much exactly the same as what we just saw with Psylocke there, but it actually helps out because since she's got the sculpted jeans and everything that she's wearing, definitely looks a little bit better at the hips there, but functions exactly the same. She's also got these big heeled boots, which are very cool, but still have the nice articulation on there. So she's got her hands that are sculpted kind of outwards like she's using her powers, and this of course works perfect with the included effects. They're the exact same as the purple ones with Magneto, but they're in a nice bright yellow. They do look like lightning after all, so you can just find the right way to kind of, get these to attach to her hands to make it look like she's calling on the power of the lightning. Really cool figure, I love her. Sabretooth, again in all his 90s glory. This is perfect. This is exactly the way I always had Sabretooth when I was a kid, the way he appeared in the original animated series. Really great looking figure. He is a bit bigger and bulkier, though he's a little thinner at the waist. I don't know why that's kind of throwing me off a little bit, but otherwise I think he's pretty great looking. I do love the face. The eyes seem like they're a little wide set apart. He looks fine on the profile, but when you look at him dead on, I don't know why, it kind of bothers me that his eyes are so far apart, but it's not so bad. Otherwise, the paint deco goes really, really nice on here. He's very cool looking. I love the claws. It almost looks like his mouth was made like in separate pieces because you can see the break there. The fur is a separate piece. Look at that, the way they've just plugged it into his back. That's really clever. So that might pop off while you're posing him around. You just got to like match it up with the little socket there on the back. Yeah, well, see, look, now I can't even get it back in there. Here we go. Line it up, plug that in. All right, let's get it reattached there to my Sabretooth. And let's run down his articulation while we're at it. So the head can roll around. You got the hinge joint forwards and backwards. The shoulders are a little loose on this guy, but it's not like they're real floppy or anything. Standard articulation there for your modern Marvel Legends. The paint's a little sloppy here because it's molded in that brown and they painted the yellow over it, and it's not quite thick enough so it doesn't cover it all. It's like that on both arms on mine. He does have these unique sculpted pieces with little fins coming off the elbows too. You got the torso cut, the ab crunch there. You can swivel at the waist. You got nice hinge joints at the thighs, swivel, bend at the knees, swivel at the boot cut, really nice tight joints at the ankles. So all in all, pretty sweet figure. Perfect to fight that Wolverine. Arrgh. And speaking of Wolverine, oh my gosh, you guys, I think this might be my favorite Wolverine figure. Wolverine always held a special place to me when I was younger. The original Toy Biz Brown costume Wolverine was like my all-time favorite figure when I was younger. It's my favorite Marvel figure, for sure. I loved the yellow tiger stripe costume like this when it came out, too. So while I prefer brown costume Wolverine, this is definitely a fantastic yellow tiger stripe version. I know a lot of people do prefer this costume. One of the things that's really great about this guy is how short they made him. 5.5 inches tall. So he is very short compared to the rest of your figures, which is always how he was portrayed in the comics. So that is perfect. The colors are bright and vibrant. I love the way they did the shoulder pads. Look at that. They're separated. They're like attached to the shoulders on little joints there, but that's so that you can actually move the arms around, because he's got this added articulation at the shoulders where you can really bring his arms back like that, which is great for some of those great lunging poses you want to do with Wolverine. You can also lift his head up really high too because of that hinge. It's on a ball joint. I popped it right off. No interchangeable head here, but it can come off. The claws are really, really interesting here because they're individually added to the figure. And one of the things I find really nice about that is that they actually can be pretty straight as long as you like mess with them individually. There you go. Look at that. I mean, that's some of the straightest claws we've ever gotten on a Wolverine figure, and that is awesome. But it's also worth noting that these are, on little pegs of their own, so if you wanted to, you can pop those off, and you can have them with only 2 claws or 1 claw or whatever you want to do with it. I worry about that a little bit because I don't want to lose these claws accidentally, so that's definitely something to watch out for. Now, if you want to pose him without his claws popped, and you don't want to actually remove these from the hands, the good thing is he also comes with interchangeable hands without the claws. So you can easily just pop the hand right off the peg, and you can put those on as well. But come on, how many of you guys are going to pose a Wolverine figure without his claws? He is fantastic. If you're a fan of Wolverine, you need this guy, for sure. He's my favorite in this wave. I'm a bit of a Wolverine mark, though. What can I say? And that brings us to our Build-A-Figure, the Massive Apocalypse. So if you collect all the figures, you get all the pieces so that you can build Apocalypse, who stands 8 inches tall in his glorious, shiny body. He is. He's very, very shiny. And if we get in here and look at it, you can see that Hasbro did that technique where they kind of molded him out of that swirly, marbleized plastic. So you can see the shiny blue parts have this quite marbleized look to them. And I kind of like that, but I know the swirls sometimes are a bit of a, they're a bit of a distractant. You can see even the deeper pieces up here. I don't know how well that's coming across in the video, but even these deeper blue pieces are like made of a glittery plastic. So this dude is very, very shiny and really cool looking. So these cables attached separately, which is great. You had to plug it into his arms and everything. And they're pliable, but the good thing is that they aren't like too bad where they're going to hinder the articulation too much. So I can still get his arm, out to the sides like this. And they're long enough where they're not getting in the way. I can move his arms forwards and get him in some great, fist-shaking poses, and those are not going to get in the way. The rest of the articulation is pretty nice. This just sits over his head, but I can still roll his head around. I've got the hinge joint in there as well. We got the ab crunch. We can swivel at the waist. Just like that. The belt is a separate piece, which covers that articulation, which is really cool. The thighs are a little loose. You can see they're a little floppy. So that's a bit of a bummer because he is a big dude and he's a bit heavy, so I worry about him getting a little too top heavy over time and falling over. Swivels at the thighs, double joints at the knees there, and then you got the nice ankles, which can also rock side to side. So all in all, he is a pretty sweet Build-A-Figure. Definitely a very cool Apocalypse toy. And that is going to do it, my friends. That is a look at the entire brand new X-Men wave featuring the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure. I have to give a very special thanks to Hasbro, who sent this case over specifically so I can open it up and show you guys here in this video. This wave is hitting stores right now, so happy hunting, my friends. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button, leave me a comment and let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on one of my reviews. Until next time, my friends.